Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday the 19th, and we got like a bunch of market movement just coming in here right as I'm sitting down. It could just be the treasuries opening up, but you can see there on the open, there was a good 6 or 7 ticks down on the open. So let's come and look at the charts, kind of take a look at what's been going on. You can see here, E-mini, pretty okay day yesterday. In the end, good move up after the open, and a good move up in the overnight session, bringing us up to 4,500. Not quite to all-time highs, but they're getting up there. 4,550 or so is the all-time high. ZN. We've pulled back a little bit, which may be why you're seeing the rising rates here on the open. Oil sitting up there, $83 a barrel. People are really concerned about the rising cost of oil, even though from day to day it doesn't look like crazy. But then when you look at the larger trend, it's like, whoa, hold on, that's crazy. Okay. Natural gas, though, still chilling off below $5. That's good. And gold and silver looking like maybe making another little run, with silver in particular really coming up and finally recovering that big, huge loss from back in September. You probably got the bigger one, which was in August, right? Yeah. That's a big one that they really have to recover. Up to 25 is where they want to get to. Okay, so Copper doing well. Copper did okay yesterday. Well, when we came in, it was like, wow, but it looks like it came back a little bit. So, but it's still looking really bullish over in copper. Bitcoin didn't really actually do anything all that interesting yesterday. But the dollar declining quite a bit overnight, hitting the 93.5 level. So let's come in here. Back to our main window, adjust our little economic news calendar thing. Oh, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Okay, so it looks like things have calmed down. We could still go long here, though. I don't know. Well, overnight lows. Yeah, 14.5, probably down there, 130, 14.5. Hold on a second. I need a full Kleenex to dab my eyes. They're watering like crazy here. Okay, well, I mean, it looks like we could probably buy the treasuries here, but I'm personally still a little concerned about extensions long. I'm a little skeptical about the action that we're seeing here, especially with no clear news event coming in. And now I do see some stuff coming through. IAEA chief warns Iran nuclear surveillance is no longer intact. Or it's the Financial Times. China is seriously concerned about the USS Connecticut's hitting of an unknown object in international waters in the South China Sea and demands that the U.S. explain in detail this incident, said spokesperson of China's Ministry of National Defense. Okay. Senior IMF official, there are risks to the outlook given the large role the real estate sector plays in China's economy. Policy tightening on the property sector is weighing on China's investment in real estate. There are indications of stress for some developers. Yeah, let's turn on the robots. Thank you, N. And we do have building permits and housing starts and everything at the bottom of the hour here, which is going to be an important number for us in the Treasury. So that's also a good reason for me to not be taking a position going into this. What are your thoughts on MBO, market by order data? So somebody showed me a research study yesterday. Actually, I think there's going to be a presentation on it tonight. We'll see. And where they were feeding market by order data into a machine learning program. And they found that the machine learning program did perform better with the MBO data, although it wasn't extreme. So it suggests to us that yes, MBO data matters and that it adds to the data that we already have. But so far, nobody has shown an edge in that data significant enough, I think, to justify most of us paying $100 a month for the MBO data. I think it's an exciting area of research. I think that we should continue to do more research in there. I don't know if they're going to find it's not going to be a game changer for you though, right? So it ends up being another little whistle that the platform developers can use to try and convince people to buy stuff. That's really what it turns into. Okay, I'm seeing a little. Okay, what do we get here? Give me the numbers. Not hearing the number yet. Yes, there you go. You saw the same report I did. When I saw a report on the supply chain problems, when everyone stayed home, they switched from spending their disposable income in bars and restaurants over to shopping and buying stuff. The supply chain, the shipping containers, the offloading, etc. This is all finely tuned machine throwing some extra shipping containers, like an extra 100K containers, and then we have big problems. Yeah, I was reading that on Bloomberg last week. It seems to show when icebergs are triggered. Wouldn't that be an edge? Not necessarily. So there's a couple of things that you got to remember about icebergs. Number one is that icebergs, in my experience, tend to be more likely to be a hedge trade and end up not being that instrumental in what happens, unless they're at a really critical point, and that's the only thing going on. But sometimes you get these situations where it's iceberg at every price, both bid and ask, and there's nothing to read from them. And again, they're often hedges. There really are often hedges, and therefore do not have any informational content in them, right? So that's the first thing. And the second thing is that you can see icebergs when they're hit anyways without that. It's not perfect. It's not perfect, but I would say that the methods that we have of detecting icebergs are generally good enough. So if there's anything in it that seems to make a difference, or that I would like to see studied rather, is the using it to try and detect stops. So the way that it works is you can see orders that come in where it's a market order, but it was not a new order. It's sent to you as an update. And that suggests that it was originally a stop and it was updated into a market order by the exchange when the price got hit. So you theoretically should be able to detect stops. And the question is, what impact do stops have? Do stops have a greater or smaller impact on price? That could be studied. How do you prove that it has an edge? Well, I don't know. If it comes in and you see that the stops have more impact, then I think, or you could use the data to empirically show that stops tend to be clustered around certain locations. Then you could maybe get something from it. But we'd have to do the study, and I don't have the data to do it. And would stops be more value? I mean, I think they could be, but I don't really know for sure. I mean, with any of these things, the question you should be asking is, what empirical evidence do we have? So when you run into an iceberg, there is a slightly smaller chance that they will get through the iceberg, right? Iceberg generally helps you create a reversal or whatever the deal is, right? But it's like the percentage change over a large data set that it actually moves it is not really a very reliable edge, and it's kind of got a fat-tailed nature to it, right? It tends to hold things, but when it goes through, you get more movement when it goes through. So it's worth watching, but it doesn't in and of itself provide you an edge, right? If this was a drinking game, we'd be getting tipsy early on, yeah. Because what kind of empirical evidence do you have, right? There's all this now. Here's the thing. Say I know that a certain kind of hedge is going to come in, right? Say I'm on the E-mini and I know that there are going to be people that are going to be hedging because they're a risk parity fund or something like that, and they need to buy more bonds that month, and we're moving down, but I'm seeing buy icebergs. Then I can come in and I can say, oh, well, that's probably that fund buying with their hedging and picking up some contracts there, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they think that it's going to turn around there or anything like that, right? And if I know what the news is, then maybe I can just ignore that, right? That's kind of how I would use icebergs per se. But you gotta get away from the technical analysis mentality, right? The technical analysis mentality would be, oh, I just saw an iceberg, I should be taking a trade. I used to do that. I used to be that guy, and it doesn't work. You can use it if you have the information. I guess one thing I should add about that on the whole market by order data was that the study that I was talking about was using a neural network. So that also kind of suggests that even though it might help, it might not necessarily be worthwhile for you as a manually executing retail trader. Well, I can see the E-mini is still looking pretty bearish. The treasuries cooled off and kind of reverted back in here. I never quite saw the numbers. Did I? Okay, building permits. Ooh, that was a bad number. Building permits month over month down -7.7 versus a previous reading of 5.6. And housing starts for September is -1.6 versus a previous month of 3.9. So the housing market has slowed down really quite considerably. We should expect to see the Bitcoin ETF today. I'm going to pull up the dollar. I want to keep an eye on that today. Yep, quite considerably. It really was quite a bit. You know, I forget to turn on with this new YouTube thing. Haven't been turning the text to speech on, but I should. So there's that. What else? So we have seen a little bit of steepening here today. Grayscale accepted filing comes same day the first U.S. Bitcoin ETF debuts. The launch of the futures funds clears the way for a physical ETF. Sure. I read that after 2008, builders stopped building as we know, but they learned into the luxury McMansions. Now there's a shortage of the regular sized home and a shortage of homes to rent. That's correct. So, I mean, I think that there's a number of things that have played into that, and I don't completely understand all of it, but apparently a big part of it is that the local building restrictions in many instances have just made it more difficult for builders to build things. And so because of that, they've just gone into the luxury market. They're like, well, we can only build so many things. We should build the most expensive things where we can make the most per thing. Makes sense, right? If you have more lax building restrictions, then you would be like, okay, well, I want to go into the high density area and build this huge high-rise apartment building or whatever it is, right? But building permits often don't allow that to happen, and there's like no incentive for them. I heard that people in the busier rental markets are offering to pay landlords above the asking price for rent. If the landlord asks $1,500, they go in and offer $2,000. Oh, really? Well, I don't know. Like, the thing that's so funny this whole time is that everything that we've seen should be suggesting that we're going to get higher rents. And in some markets, rents have risen dramatically. But then when we go and we look at the consumer price index, and the biggest component there is the housing component, and that is based off of rents, and that's only just now barely risen. But, you know, we had like a 0.1% larger increase last month than we would normally expect to get. It's like, okay. Well, they're kind of luring down at the bottom, but I'm not 100% convinced that they're just going to break through here and smash to the bottom. And I'm still quite interested about why we had the strong push down that we did around the open, maybe a little bit before the open. Bernie, the Babylon Bee says, Bernie Sanders asks Nation to please stop mailing him books on economics. Oh man. Sorry to go over old questions. No, that's totally what we're here for, Johnny. Newer people. Those treasury DOMs bottom right, are they synthetic instruments? Can you quickly explain what you're doing with them? Oh, yeah. So these ones up here are the 5-year, 10-year, and 30-year treasury futures. These ones down at the bottom are the new micro treasury yield futures. So this one is price, and this one is interest rate, essentially. And they're very, very tiny. So when I'm trading my live account, I'm usually down in here. And I really like them too, because like I can come in here, I can like risk $10 if it doesn't work. It's like, oh well. And like no stress. It's just for fun. But I've been doing okay with them. I had some big boo-boos when I tried doing some spread trades, and so I kind of reduced my risk back down a little bit. But other than you take that week out, I've been doing great. So of course, I don't think that I will be completely comfortable until we have another big move in and catch it, Much simpler, and there was me thinking it was something complicated. Right. Well, like here's the thing, John, is that because retail traders are so stuck in the technical analysis mindset of things, what happens is we come in and we say, well, traditional technical analysis doesn't work, so we have to make it more complicated. And you know what, like there is something to say about in technical analysis, it's really hard to find a technical edge, but if you find one, it's more likely to be complicated because then other people aren't going to see it, right? So, we kind of do that, but that's why I always say the key thing to realize, the thing, if you really want to be efficient, the best thing that you can realize is that the market is not informationally efficient. There can be information out there that practically everybody knows and isn't properly reflected in the price. And sometimes you can take advantage of that. Today, I'm not so sure that I know of any one specific informational inefficiency here. We had the housing starts. That could make rates cool off a little bit. We do have a bunch of Fed speakers much later today. Fed Treasury purchases later today. Red book. We got a red book in like 10 minutes, but otherwise, I'm not too sure. The one thing that I do know is that there appears, based on seasonality and other such things, there appears to be good reason to believe that we'll continue to see buying as we get later into the month, and especially once we get into November. The largest such flow being stock buybacks. So we got that. But where that puts us in rates at the moment, I'm not so sure. But maybe that's why it's just kind of middling around. So I was so surprised that like we had that huge move on the open, because I'm like, I'm not sure what was that. Would almost suggest news or something, but I don't see any news. But that's kind of what we're looking around here for now, is they're just kind of waiting and seeing if they give us a hint. Parts of Cottonwood Canyons received 10 inches of snow overnight? Really? Wow. It's snowing hard over here in Utah. I mean, this wouldn't necessarily be a bad spot to try and get along if we wanted to go long rates. What reason do I have to believe that there's going to be more sell orders here in the future? I don't think I really do. In fact, everything that I'm seeing right now kind of suggests that it's going to be really iffy. We could try taking one in the ES, though. I think we have some reason to think the ES could be up, and at the moment they're on the downtrend. I see there's Ace here bright and early. Wow. It's a little iffy, but we could maybe keep an eye on looking for a long in ES. Like at the moment, it's trending down for sure. I bet if Ace took a trade at this exact moment, he would go short. But I kind of see it as just enough on the edge that we could get a reversal here. It wouldn't take much. No, you're short 95. Oh, well, you got an okay spot already. So you got it before that last few ticks down. Actually, you might have even taken it before the robot tried reversing it. It's cold here this morning. How's your weather today? I haven't been outside, so I need to get out. I need to get some sun, man. I should try to go get out some sun, because not that I'm feeling weird or anything, but I've just been inside a lot. It's been raining off and on all night. Can't wait to run it. See, this is why you just need to pick up weightlifting, Ace. It's way better than running, I tell you that much. It's the most snow in October in a long time. So they said that they got 10 inches in Little Cottonwood Canyon. That is a lot. That is a lot. I can't ever. I mean, I don't really keep track of how much snow we get up in the mountains, of course, but that seems to me like a lot of snow for this early in the month, because usually like first snow that we see in Utah is around Halloween. It's usually it's very often that it will snow on Halloween or just after. Okay, so there's another little downtick. I would say, relatively speaking, in this action, that was a relatively aggressive downtick, but it's all still very quiet, so it just wouldn't take much for this to flip around. Because, I don't know, maybe you could get 61.61. Maybe you could get 1.61. These aren't the Bitcoin ETFs you're looking for. These new exchange traded funds will invest in Bitcoin futures, not Bitcoin itself. Yeah, I don't know. I still think that the Bitcoin ETFs will result in money coming into the Bitcoin market, even though they're futures. Because they'll be going long the futures, right? Well, there was a good little uptick. There is the volume at 23.5, so that's another one I got to keep an eye on. Are there running shoes for the rain? Something with extra tread? Nope. Some folks will buy a Gore-Tex shoe, but the water comes from sweat, so what is the point? Well, have you ever been, like, walking in the rain and the water soaks into your foot shoe? Because some of that running gear can get for any hobby, there's like stuff that you can get that's expensive. But I'm sure that you'd have some running shoes that you wouldn't want to run in the rain with, right? You wouldn't want to ruin them. So I should point out that over here in the micro treasuries, like, we're not seeing any volume go through here. Like, I'm looking at the 1.61 and thinking maybe I could go long, but nobody's doing it. The 30-year hasn't had any volume go through it at all today. The 5-year has a little bit, but the volume is really light in the micros. So the speculators are not doing anything. When you run, do you listen to podcasts or just enjoy the missing noise from our data streams? Okay, so here comes the Red Book. Sometimes just listen to their... Okay, so can I complain about something? Okay, not much reaction to Red Book. What I'm noticing is that since the streaming services like Spotify have come about, a lot of artists and labels have realized that they make money from just putting their content on YouTube and Spotify. And so it is killing podcasting. So a really good example of this is my favorite podcast, Above and Beyond's Group Therapy. And what they have done on the group therapy is they've replaced the podcast feed. So it used to be that every week you would get a 2-hour podcast episode of the full episode. But now what they do is they record a separate podcast where they only do the songs from their label that they own, and they only play like 4 or 5 songs as like a recap. And then if you want to watch the full thing, you have to go to either YouTube or Spotify or Apple Music. Which I guess that's cool. You can still listen to it, right? But none of those platforms are as good for like listening, especially like if you're on the go in the car. In the car, I just want to know like what's the next episode that I haven't listened to and have it start playing. But YouTube, I have to go and find the video. I've had trouble finding it on Apple Music, getting that to work. Like, I can go and I can find it if I search for it on Apple Music, but it won't notify me, oh, there's a new episode, right, for instance, right? And then there's Spotify, which is kind of the same thing. It's so annoying. So they're like, it sounds to me like podcasting is dying. Podcasting is streaming killed podcasts. I listened to a country music artist talk about Spotify. He said they pay the artists on a payment level. Drake is payment level A, and they share the payment profits. Well, so the amount that an artist makes when their song is streamed is so pathetically small. I mean, I used to do a lot of music, and I was trying really hard to get something recognized. Every once in a while, I would get a video that had a little bit of activity, but I just never had any success at all in attracting any kind of attention. And it was like trying to make money off of it was just like no chance that was ever going to happen. So one of the things that happened in the streaming industry that I thought was very, very interesting was that Twitch started going after creators that were playing music on their streams, and they were getting takedown notices and things like that. And so there was a creator named Harris Heller that went and he had paid an artist that he knew money for his catalog for like 20 or 30 songs, and then released it on Spotify and said, these songs you can play on your stream and we will not issue takedown notices. So it became the go-to place for anybody that was streaming to stream background music. And he got so many plays from it. Like, if you think about it, it's something like 1,000 people play your song or something, and you make 6 cents or whatever the deal is. Like, it's an infinitesimally small amount of money that you make per play. Maybe it's 6 cents per play, or maybe it's spot 6 per play. I think it's like spot 6 per play. But when you're getting tens of millions of plays, it ends up being millions of dollars. And so this guy has made millions of dollars from streaming from streaming music that he didn't even make. Isn't that crazy? So on the people that are at the very, very top on Spotify, they can make money, but everybody else, the bottom feeders, it's hard. And I gave up. I kind of realized that I liked just dinking around in the DAW more than I did actually completing tracks. Maybe someday when I have more time, I will spend more time doing that, but well, I'm kind of thinking now we should have taken that 61 when we had it, huh? Granted, they did extend the bottom by a tick. It's still really slow. So even if we move down here, I'm not sure that I really have to be that FOMO about missing it. Maybe if it really extends down there and this is the start of a really big trend, but the S&P 500 is still bearish too. And when I look at what Jay is doing, it looks like the amount of volume out there in the ES is still a little questionable. Host Eric talked about the music artist Michelle Shocknery and complimented her music, talked about how much she respected her music and played a small tidbit. She copyrighted him, which cost him a big YouTube down. Oh, yeah. You can't play it on stream, man. That's the same with, like, that's one of the things that drives me nuts about the Federal Reserve meeting is we're totally okay to, like, stream the Federal Reserve meeting and play the audio through here, which I think is useful for historical purposes. I want to be able to go back and see, okay, when Powell said X thing, was the market reaction.
Warning. FOMO, fear of missing out on hitting the like button. Please take a quick second to hit the like button. Thumbs up. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyways, but at the beginning of the Federal Reserve meeting, they play music, and then if you play that music, you get a copyright strike. Well, not a strike. It will just it'll do something to the video. I mean, so one thing I am noticing here is that there's slightly less level 2 at 130 and 21.5. So that might mean that the market maker is seeing enough risk of adverse excursion here. Yeah, see how easily it pulled when they ticked down? They're seeing enough adverse excursion here that the market makers aren't so sure that they want to take fills at 21.5. And that is a sign that we could get some continuation short here. But again, the volume is fairly light and pretty tepid. Yeah, all it would take is the one guy coming in and deciding to buy a few thousand contracts, then it would push us back up. Okay. So there was an iceberg at 29 there in the 5-year. Lately, when we've seen those sorts of things, we've run away from them. How did we get talking on the streaming? Oh yeah, because we were talking about podcasting and stuff. No, if you're in the content creation game, the place to be is still YouTube. Even with as popular as TikTok has become, I don't think that the big TikTok creators are making a ton of money. There are celebrities that are making a ton of money off of TikTok, but I don't think that most content creators make all that much from TikTok. The only place that they're maybe making money from TikTok is driving people to their YouTube. But the ability for TikTok to drive people to YouTube is actually really limited. So the best game out there is still make a good YouTube video with a really clickbaity headline and get people on the YouTube front page to click on your thumbnail. That's where the real money is. Let's see here. Gold prices are on the front foot on Tuesday, rising as much as 1% as a sluggish dollar lifted bullion's appeal in the face of increasing inflation expectations. Yeah. So the dollar got a lot weaker overnight, and I think that boosted gold. But, if the treasuries decide to continue down here and push towards like that 18.5 area, right? That probably wouldn't be too kind to gold. At least that's what we've been seeing as of late. By the way, now is probably a good time to take some inventory. It's been 30 minutes, so what do we got going here? So again, gold is still up. The 6J is pointed largely down, but kind of going nowhere here in this spot as the treasuries are mirroring that quite a bit. The S&P 500 continues to be on the downside, but it's still very, very light volume in the ES today. Bitcoin not doing much of anything, and the dollar recovering some of its losses. So not too much change here so far. Not too much change here, but I do see a lot of assets kind of tilted to the downside. The one that should be the most interesting to us, you were talking about gold, is silver. Because silver is up 3.7% today. So I'm not sure what the deal is with that. Why did silver rise so much compared to gold? Well, if I had taken the long in the micro treasury yields at 1.61, and I'm really still with the way this is trading, I'm totally okay not being in this because we're getting movement, but the volume is really light. And one of the things that happens to me often is I could be sitting here with my limit order at 1.62 and not get it. That happens a lot, right? So we could maybe justify a trade. Actually, yes, I will right here. I will see if I can get an okay fill in the ES because I am getting the sign I was kind of looking for a little bit earlier. So we'll see if we are able to get a little bit of favorable excursion over there. Notes from Poland. Almost 43% of Poles want to hold a referendum on EU membership, while 37% are opposed to the idea. Finds a new poll. If such a referendum were held, almost 2/3 say they would vote to remain in the black. Well, that's interesting that many would still vote to remain. I would think that Poland would suffer from being kicked out of the euro way more than the UK has, right? Like it has been a negative thing for the UK, at least in the short term. But like they're a pretty big economy. Like they can handle a certain amount of that, right? But Poland is a much smaller economy. Okay, so I am seeing, interestingly enough, a little bit of negative excursion here in the Treasury, but then bids refreshing. Not in the Treasury, in the ES. Okay, well, that time they made a little bit more down movements, so maybe it's a bad trade. Hey there, Zuzi. How you been? Missed you yesterday. The Treasury did come back. Not all the way back to 61, though. It's been a month. You had more troubles with the redoing your house or whatever, remodeling your house. That's the word I'm looking for, remodeling. That reminds me, I ordered this metal to for my light board as a part of the stand for my light board, and you know, like I got my order confirmation, but nothing indicating to me that, I don't think I have an account. Maybe if I create an account, they will I will be able to get my information about where it's at. Let's see here. Yes. Oh, my wife's mom died. Her stepmom died. Lots of remodeling. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm sorry. Will it show me? Oh, it doesn't show me the order. Boo. So I'm assuming that they just haven't cut it yet. That's why I haven't gotten any emails. But I'm anxious to know when it will be here, because I want to put this thing up. Well, it's kind of funny. Like when you look at where it is on the DOM in the 10-year, it's like, yeah, this could continue. This could really trend down. But then you go and you look at the chart and you're like, this is going nowhere. This is going nowhere. Needless to say, it's been a distracting month. That time of year, though, things pick up this time of year, right? It's go time. You know, what happens is that most people are apt to kind of just chill out and hibernate during the winter. And if you are go, you can catch a leg up on the competition during the winter. My wife's mother was a monster, for the record. Oh, that's right. That mother. Oh, wow. Interesting. See, the way that you said it to us, that one. The way that you said it to us, it made it sound like you were introducing a new character in your life. Because if I was doing it, I would have been like, okay, remember how I said that I really hate my mother-in-law? Well, she died, Hmm. Man, I remember what I was going to say. I kind of had a little segue here because, like I was saying, stuff happens in the fall. Like once school gets going on, like stuff is going on and, it's stressful. Her stepmom was a good lady, though. She was into our lives very long, but my wife's dad is an incapable drunk, so it's a huge loss for him. Oh, gotcha. Are you trading ES? I have a sim long in ES. I kind of think it's kind of more for fun because it's so dead over there. I do think that we could get some more activity and then that could push us up. And that's kind of the only reason that I'm taking it. So it's a little bit more of a gamble. You notice I'm not willing to take that gamble in my live account over here in the treasury because like it's quite dead. Even though it seems like should be able to buy rates here. So what's stressing me out is my son has a science project. So apparently as part of the honors science class that he's in, you have to do a science or engineering project, which I believe is going to be part of a fair. And you were supposed to like submit proposals for your ideas and do certain research and stuff along the way. And like he didn't do those parts, and those are like a long past due. And he didn't do them because like, well, I can't think of an idea. And I'm like, well, it doesn't have to be a good idea, just submit it. So now I'm like hounding him to start this project, and I know that like at some point we're gonna have to actually do a big project probably. And I don't have any good science project ideas either. This is causing me stress. Like I hated the stress of assignments being due. And now I don't typically deal with that in my daily life, and I'm much happier. And now I got kids and they have them and their assignments stress me out. Ugh. But that's nothing compared to So Uzi, was it both the mom and the stepmom both died in relatively close to each other? Being 63 is bad enough, but being 63 and having never taken care of yourself and spending 40 years, yeah, he's gonna be in a. Oh man, that's gonna be so rough on him. I remember seeing something yesterday where they were saying, well, there's this whole thing where when your partner dies, you're so heartbroken that you tend to die shortly afterwards as well. Well, that only happens to men, and it's because most men don't know how to take care of themselves or have any kind of social support network. There's another pretty okay excursion there on the treasury. Do you think that we'd get, not we, but do you think our hypothetical long would get filled at 62? Or just put a little note there, right? Like we'll see if any volume comes through. So there was some volume at 61.7. And we are getting some long action in the ES finally, hey. I actually do know of an example of that when I was in grocery retail. We had this regular customer, older lady in a motor car, always with her adult son, big Star Wars boy, like obvious. Obviously, right? Okay, yeah. She died and he legit kicked it 4 days after her. Whoa. Interesting. And that was her adult son, huh? Jeez. Jeez. Well, it was looking like maybe the 62 could have some volume, but now they've backed off quite a bit. And he couldn't have been outside his 40s. Some people just don't take care of themselves. It's, you know what though, like I just did not realize when I was younger how much harder it is to take care of yourself in your late 30s and 40s. You know, like my ability to recover and bounce back is way less. And there's definitely like the reactions, the plasticity of the brain it's not what it was. Like I'm trying to go in and trying to learn things about like advanced statistics and stuff, and I just keep thinking, I wish I had done this when I was 20. I wish I had done this when I was 20. It would have been so much easier. I get the fill. Do I get the fill? Yay! No, the Star Wars reference, Princess Leia died after her mother, Debbie Reynolds, died. Yeah. I notice it too, but fight the hell out of it. I'm going to die young, relatively speaking. I know this, so I'm trying to get everything done before I go. Well, I do know that the more that I try and stay active, the better it's going to be for me in the long run. I think a big mistake that my dad made was that he really stopped being active when he got into his 30s. When we were born, I have these weights in the garage, so yes, we have crystallized intelligence and fluid intelligence. Keep your mind active. Speculators, everything will be okay. I think so. I think with the way that I live my life, that I should be okay. Like everything is in line for me to be able to continue being really sharp for well into my 60s, but. Did you see, remember we were talking the other day about, there's a problem that all of these politicians are too old. Well, there is a senator that was proposing that they have a mental fitness test of some sort to test for senility or whatever, however you say it. And you know what, earlier when I was saying, I don't know, like, how do you do that? Because it could introduce other problems. No, I think they should do it. But here's how I think they should do it. I think there should be a test. The test should only be like how mentally fit you are, or if you're going senile. So basically the test would really only test for like, are you developing dementia and all of those other problems that you get when you're really old, right? And then it would have no effect on your ability to hold office. It's just that it would have to be disclosed to the public. So if somebody's senile and the public still wants to vote them into office, they can do that. But the public will know that he's senile. What do you think of my idea? I want to leave my wife with as little worry as possible. I've gotten all the really big stuff done in the house: roof, garage, plumbing, wreck, bathroom rebuilt. That's really my purpose. So tell me this, if you identify with this thought, because on TikTok, a lot of the times TikTok will send videos to me that are almost like guys complaining, I think. And one of the things that guys seem to complain about is that like a man doesn't have intrinsic value per se. Like women, children, and dogs are loved simply for existing, but a man isn't loved unless he's providing something. And so a man is expected to be working hard, and all of that just goes to the people in his life and all of that. And so they're kind of complaining about that part. And I when I see those, I'm like, well, if you weren't doing that sort of stuff, what would be the effing point? Like, what would you be doing? There would be like no reason to live if there wasn't a family to be trying to take care of. You know what I mean? Do you get that? Because I really get that impression from you. There's like, well, I'm working hard for my wife. You know, if it wasn't for my wife, what would I do? Well, I would still trade, but I would probably live in like a 1-bedroom apartment. You know? One not even a full bedroom apartment. It would just be like one room with a kitchen and a bed and a desk. Maybe a washer and dryer. I would still like to have my own washer and dryer, because taking your clothes down to the laundromat is a pain in the butt. Yeah, the old Chris Rock line. That's exactly it. Yeah. That is where that came from, isn't it? Oh man, my mind is just on tangent city today. So you mentioned Chris Rock, and then that reminds me of the Dave Chappelle special. Did you watch the Dave Chappelle special that has been causing all this controversy on Netflix? I'd still live in this house if it was just me, just a couple of roommates. I don't know. I'm alone a lot, and to be honest, my wife is super based. The success of our marriage has really been. Yeah, I get you. Can you go into how you identify excursion? Well, when I'm saying excursion, what I simply mean is there has been volume against my position or the direction that I want to see it go, or the direction that a certain market participants would like to see it to go. So here in the ES, we got a pretty good excursion on the long side, right? We got 10 ticks and we got to fill on one of our orders. It's pretty good. And the whole idea here, when you're thinking about taking a trade, with the way that we trade, and especially with my more speculator method and trying to take advantage of informational inefficiencies, I really should be getting more favorable excursion than unfavorable excursion. In the ES, I can kind of give it like 12 ticks. But like over here in the Treasury, say that in the Treasury I had decided to go short 61, and then it came up to 61.3. Like, in this kind of action, I would be giving it up, because I shouldn't be seeing any flow against me, really. The success of our marriage has been keeping expectations reasonable. I don't have to do all the things I'm doing. I do it for her, me. I guess you can say she'd always be telling me to slow down, take a break, blah, blah, blah. To me, I can't. Yeah. You know, my wife will get into this mode where she wants to do all of these things, and then I don't. I'm like, duh, you need to rest. I don't know though. Like, one of the problems that we have right now, I think, is that I'm not typically the most organized person. You know, like you can see here with the stream, I'm having a really difficult time these days trying to get a video out every week. And how do I do that? The only way that I can do that is set up routines and stuff, and just be religious to a fault about my routine. Well, because my wife hasn't really been on the side of like keeping track of all of those things and making sure that all of the things are getting done, particularly with the kids in school, I've kind of had to step up. So I had to create a routine around the kids doing homework, and it's a pain. But I think the whole keeping expectations reasonable, I definitely see a lot of marriages these days where it seems to me like there's no reason that they had to have any problems except for that they had unreasonable expectations about what marriage would be like, you know? Have a neighbor in the derelict house of Star Wars boy. His cousin lives with him. He rents a room. His cousin is about my age, and his wife is a 50-year-old brisk. What? Okay. Man, we keep getting like fairly good, favorable excursions, and then it comes all the way back. I mean, look, but when the order comes, it moves. That reminds me, I read a study the other day that suggested that when orders cluster, that had a larger impact than when the orders were big. That was interesting. No, there are multiple Star Wars boys, Ace. Say, I think you missed the conversation where Uzi admitted that he doesn't like Star Wars. That's what this all stems from. Gus says, wait, what? He's like, oh, Seth actually gave us some edge. What is he talking about? Okay. What was it? Let me go find it. The research study is non-average price impact in order-driven markets. We present a measurement of price impact in order-driven markets that does not require average across execution or scenarios. Given the order book data associated with one single execution of a sell meta order, we measure its contribution to price decrease during the trade. We do so by modeling the limit order book using state-dependent Hawkes processes and by defining the price impact profile of the execution as a function of the compensator of a stochastic process in our model. So that whole bit there, the first, if you don't understand that, don't worry too much about that, because you'd understand that more if you've been reading all the research about execution impact and whatever. But they're trying to go about another method of measuring execution impact to try and optimize their executions. We apply our measurement to a data set from the NASDAQ, and we conclude that the clustering of sell child orders has a bigger impact on price than their sizes. Okay, so markets have this tendency to cluster. Like when you get orders, you tend to get a bunch of orders all at once, right? And there'll be like a gap between them, and then you get another bunch of orders all at once. Presumably because people are seeing other people do something, and so they decide to do something, right? So they're saying that when a bunch of child orders cluster together, that has a bigger impact on price than the size of those orders, right? So having like a cluster of sell orders, like 5 sell orders that are all like 20 contracts, will have a bigger impact on price than like one big sell order of 100. Okay, as a man, in reference to what you were saying, I have to find value at the very least for myself. I've had a lot of free time since I left my regular job for trading. I can't waste it. Oh yeah. Like finding things, because when I do have free time, sometimes I'm bored and I'm not sure what to do, and sometimes I have a ton of stuff that I want to do, and I just can't fit it all in. Guess that's interesting. Yeah. I tell you what, man, if you guys want to be good traders, the biggest help, I think, is go and read research studies. There have been a ton. If you come to, what is it, Arxiv? Is that what it's called? Yeah, arxiv.org. And there's this whole section for quantitative finance. And then there's all of the different sections. And so like trading and market microstructure. Oh man, we got stopped out of our trade. That's unfortunate. I kind of still want to be long, but not at that spot. So I shall wait. Anyways, this trading and market microstructure, I would go and like read all of these if you can. So that was the one that we were just looking at, non-average price impact in order-driven markets. There's this other one that I thought was interesting, Traders in Strange Land, agent-based discrete event market simulation of the Figgy card game. This one's kind of fun. So they went out and they created a game, some game called Figgy, and then they created a bunch of different strategies and played the strategies out in this game to see how it went. And it basically went exactly the same way that the Albert Kyle model kind of suggests, where you've got a bottom feeder, which estimates value by observing orders sent by other agents. So this is the market maker. And then there's the fundamentalists, which takes in Figgy's unique notion of an asset value. Okay, so that's kind of like the informed traders. and then they also had a chartist. We also find that chartist strategies implemented, including one from literature, fail by going into feedback loops in the small Figgy market. So what is it? So what is it saying? It's better to be an informed trader, and charts tend not to work. Well, I don't know. Just watching the E-mini here on the open, let's see the volume. The volume is down. So that's interesting. The 62 still hasn't been touched yet in the micro treasury yield futures. It does look like this is like a one of them slow moving trains that just won't be stopped on the downside in the treasury. Oh, that should do it. Come on. They traded through it. 16 traded through it. So we would have gotten the fill if we had taken that trade. I don't know. I feel like with as slow as this has been, I'm still glad that I didn't take a trade, even though we could have made $10. The E-mini though, well, that last trade in the E-mini wasn't terrible. I guess the most we ever got was 8 favorable ticks though. So now we got more MFE than that because I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. That's the that's my robot. Now we got 8 favorable ticks and we got 10 unfavorable. That's a little bit wrong. That should be 12, but that should be 10 and 12. So we're still not seeing like really clear, like buy it kind of action, are we? You'd be bored to death if you lived in your house. Well, I tell you what, you know, crafts. You always thought of crafts as like a girl thing because, you know, there's girly crafts, but apparently these days there are male and nerdy crafts, like, you know, Arduino stuff. See how it went over the waterfall? Oh, yeah, well, they're still on the downside here today. Now, the bigger one is that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies here in the last 30 minutes or so, maybe not even the last 30 minutes, the last like 5 minutes have seen a really big jump. Is that because the ETF was like formally launched? Let's check Twitter here. I've been yapping a lot. I don't see anything. Ooh, Coinbase Global Incorporated. Facebook has chosen Coinbase as its custody partner for its pilot of Novi, a new digital wallet. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So I'm seeing something that I don't necessarily like. I guess I shouldn't try and decide whether I like it or not. It is what it is, right? But the metaverse is like the next big thing, supposedly, that it will like replace the internet, is where, it's not just that you're on the internet, but there's almost like a virtual presence in places that you can go. And there's a lot of concepts about a metaverse, but it looks like the biggest company that is really investing hard into metaverse is Facebook. Facebook is definitely investing hard into this. And it kind of sounds, so they made a big move where they invested a ton of money in developers in Europe to develop the metaverse, but now they're also making these moves in cryptocurrencies, which kind of suggests to me that Facebook wants to set up a digital economy with their own currency. Yeah, that's what I think is going on here. I mean, I suppose I don't have anything wrong against a currency of that sort in general. It's just that it's the Bitcoin that I have an issue with, right? Bitcoin and the fact that it's been pumped up. And anything attached to that, I'm nervous about. Craft brewing, there you go, John. So they did hit into a little bit of volume there at 20.5 in the 10-year. Just to know, the volume in the 10-year has been really, really mixed, but in the 5-year they've been selling it pretty consistently. So if we ran into something in the 5-year, that might give us a reason to try and reverse this. So is that Facebook news? Now, NYSE welcomes ProShares ETF in celebration of the first U.S. Bitcoin-linked ETF. Okay. And 3.1 million shares have already traded. Well, I wouldn't be putting that ETF into my portfolio just to... It's a futures ETF, so it's not very efficient. But that must be the cause of the spike. Although it kind of makes me wonder why they waited until then to spike. We'll see. I bet you that Bitcoin continues moving up here over the next, I think it could probably do it for a couple of weeks and even. So the E-mini finally goes long there. So, our original trade, it wouldn't have been too bad, would it? We could take some of these prices, I don't know. It'll be a little bit of a gamble here because we could still see some really strong, unfavorable excursions through this. The Treasury looks still aggressive on the short side. We got to remember that yesterday they were down at 15.5, so there's totally within the range for them to go down there. It's just the volume up until now hasn't really been there. We may, though, start to run into a point where certain guys start to freak out and you start to see, little panics and crazy things happen. Let's see here. Gensler, Bitcoin futures benefit from years of U.S. oversight. There you go. Bitcoin remains a highly speculative asset class. Thanks for the obvious, my friend. Could something he be saying also be driving the Bitcoin prices higher? Bloomberg starts their tweets out. Bitcoin is rising. The Fed says inflation will fall next year and housing starts fall. Here's what markets are watching. I mean, I can see the long volume coming in there, but they're fighting it a little bit here, aren't they, in the ES? So it's kind of, I don't know. Should I be concerned about this one in the ES, this sim trade in the ES? Because I feel like I should have already gotten my fill by now. Okay. Treasury's coming back a little bit. Curious. Well, I think I have the overall direction here in ES up. Like, I don't think that we're going to have like a disaster down day or anything, but it looks like it's just going to be choppy either way. See, yeah, I guess that was like, yeah, I should have been concerned about it, huh? Like that I had gotten in and I wasn't immediately getting the favorable excursion. I think that increases the chances of me getting the full stop out, and I should maybe just scratch it. Well, even though we filled the 62 in the treasury, you can see we're below it at the moment, so there's still a little wishy-washy in the treasury as well. Let's see here. I don't know if I could justify just taking the short here straight up. Maybe. Well, maybe. And as soon as I take it, there's like volume all over the place. So that was probably a bad trade. Bad entry, at least. Well, even though Bitcoin had a really good spike up, Ethereum is actually slightly lower on this candle, and Bitcoin has mostly come back. Okay, that's more like it. Treasury coming back here. They're really coming back, in fact. Is this turning risk off? Should I be selling it here? I might just leave an order out there. See, they're not filling it. Nope. What I'm doing over here in the E-mini, I'm being fairly random with it. So I'm not stressed about it too much, but I am having trouble with it today, aren't I? So the SEC Gensler speaking right now might be leading to some of the market action that we're seeing. I don't know. I'm not necessarily sure that he's saying anything that's like creating volume into the market, but it may be contributing to some of the choppiness. So now I'm seeing some volume there. But it seems that I might already be too late to take a trade. Ouch. Well, that's 3 of them in the ES that didn't work. I think I may just need to chill out. Trying to take them as you go certainly is not working out very well, is it? Like, if we're going to take this on the way back, well, see, that makes me want to just chase it. You're looking at support. Well, I'm looking at any of those things for those ones over there. I'm really just trying to take random spots with momentum over in the ES. In fact, what I'm doing over here, I wouldn't necessarily expect to work. So I'm sure that there's probably a number of things that could be critiqued about it. I don't know if that necessarily matters. The point is to show that just averaging out doesn't necessarily magically grant you edge. Now 92 was okay, and now I think I got a better price that time around, but clearly, I mean, like they wanted to go across the open and stuff again. Seems this is being way more unfavorable than it should be, though. As I'm probably getting really poor entries. I didn't have to retract your message, live action. But I think that what's happening here is I've been trading this on like that it's going to break out of this range, and it stayed in the range, and so it's just stopping me out. That's the problem. It does seem like that, at least for this market, the length of the stops and targets and everything is appropriate. I'm just not catching enough momentum on them. I'm kind of I would say in the ES, because of the way that the treasuries reacted, I'm kind of leaning to the downside in ES. What do you think? Bank of England gilt purchase operation fully covered. Offered 2.6 billion. Well, that could also be a part of why the treasuries moved. It really felt like a risk-off move, though. RTY is leading the way. Well, yeah, that would definitely contradict the short thesis, wouldn't it? Was also odd that this a little excursion against me in the 10-year, even though we're still stuck at 22 half 23. Well, there was a pretty good downtick. You used to work at the Bank of England, only in IT and support of the trading system. I didn't get any bullion. Hey, well, you still learn a lot doing that stuff, though, man. I learned a lot when I worked at one of the big banks. Well, that's not good. I was looking to maybe get 5 there, and they already pulled it against me. ES is still being a pill. I'm just going to get out right there. I didn't like that fight that we just had. And it seems to me like if I was going to get like a full reversal, it would already happened. Like I'm not seeing the anticipated order flow. So it probably the case that I just don't really have anything. And I with those trades in the ES, I've been having a hard time today, right? Now again, that's probably because of the range. Let's see here. I'll try and take that one because that's a good, better spot in range. Watch, this is going to be the time that it breaks out and touches the low. Liquidity is way down. Well, I mean, the resting liquidity looks pretty normal to me. They aren't trading as much per price though. That I would agree with. I did the right thing cutting that trade short. Almost got the fill there in the ES. Well, there's a little tick back up, so maybe they come back to where we were. Man, they are just like fighting to not fill me today, are they? So 5 years kind of wants to go. Yeah, 5 year recovered. By the 10 year and the 30 didn't. So there's some steepening going on here. I'm seeing that while the dollar continues to be weak, Japanese yen is on the up move a little bit. Off to go texture closet. Hey, thank you very much. Thank you. Off you like. Thank you very much. I'll hang out more after you. Still haven't been oh, well, maybe that's this weekend, huh? Okie dokie. Yeah, Futures Trader 71 posting that it's a meat grinder today. I think so. I'm tempted to try and take another trade in the treasury, but now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, well, what reason would I have to do that? Is it really for real? I can't even get 8 ticks? Or what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it's 8. I can't even get 8 ticks. Hey, NASDAQ trader, how you doing? Today hasn't been the best day, but a little bit of a meat grinder in the ES. So my sim trades in the E-mini are just doing dismally. What's the difference between an order cluster and a large order? Well, I think that when they're talking about cluster, they're talking about a number of orders happening close to each other. So it seems they seem to be suggesting that the market reads it as a bigger deal that a bunch of smaller orders did something rather than one big order did something. Hey, now that is some favorable excursion, eh? We're gonna fill the second target now. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just some. You're right. I was feeling a little FOMO-y because I had considered buying 61 and we came back. I mean, I could have gotten 10 ticks out of it, but it's just been really difficult action. And then I saw the possibility for a reversal, but it didn't really work it out. It really didn't work out. So I puked that a little bit worse than I wanted. I wanted to get out at like -4 and I got -6. But it's okay. That's not a big deal. So now I'm looking at it, and I just have to be saying like, okay, like there's there really a reason for it to be moving now? Not really. So does it mean that large orders execute differently? Well, no. I think that it means that large orders don't matter as much as people think they do. Which I think would make sense. Like, a large order is more likely to be an institution, and I'm starting to think that the bigger an institution it is, probably the less information is actually contained within their trade. Versus if all of the small orders are all going one way, they must know something. There must be a reason to believe that the action is going in a certain direction. But I also think I've had some ideas, and I think that we need to investigate them a little bit more about trying to identify the order clustering. Like, we could go and we could do a survey or a study rather, which is like the time between orders, how much time passes since the last order, and do a histogram of that, right? And then use that to try and group orders into clusters, and then see if we can find clusters correlated between instruments. It's kind of the idea that I'm interested in right now. Okay, so they're coming up to the highs here. Let's see if they break it. How can you do that? Well, seeing the time between orders, that part's easy, and we already have a way to draw a histogram with our stats suite, right? And then we just take that time and we say, okay, all of the orders that happened in this area, like I could have like a running window, and I could say, okay, most of the orders were in here, so in this window of time now, what orders correlated between the instrument. And I would base the time off of what our clustering survey said. It'd be complicated. I don't know. I don't have it all figured out, but October is the new November, says Bloomberg. Okay. See, there's 61.5 again. I don't know. So do we think that they're going to push down again? I'm not so sure. It kind of looks like that the slow grind lower is ended, and the treasuries seem directionless at the moment. If the ES breaks highs and starts to really trend higher, then maybe the treasuries change and they go back to grinding down. Let's see here. Bitcoin has retraced all of their up move on the ETF news. I'm just gonna go with that it was the announcement of the ETF spiked it. Well, we got a good long here, but does it cancel out the losers that we had? Let's just limit it to the micros. No. Actually, not even close. We have to make up $100. Oh, geez. Ford tweets how unvaccinated TSA employees could put a fork in Thanksgiving weekend air travel. Oh, boy. Trading Nation tweets market bull Jim Paulson downplays inflation, says it might actually do a lot of good. Well, more inflation wouldn't be the end of the world as long as it's not excessive. Not that it wouldn't even be not the end of the world. It would be really good as long as it's not excessive. Southwest scraps plan to put unvaccinated staff on unpaid leave starting in December. Okay. And there's the treasuries kind of threaten the downside again. Or rather, I should say the rates threatening the downside. I probably shouldn't be trying to make a call on the direction here because they're kind of like in the middle here. Be really easy to read too much into something and think it's going to go one way, and then it's, really a queen flip. PS is going okay, though. I mean, they did make a new high, at least. And I'm going to have to beat out the overnight high is still quite a ways up. Well, not quite a ways. It's only 4 points up there. 4 to 8 points up there. First Bitcoin futures ETF rises 3% in trading debut on the NYSE. Grayscale wants to turn the world's biggest Bitcoin fund into an ETF, reports Bloomberg, of course. Tesla had ninth day of up sequence yesterday, 2% pullback made sense. Tesla from gapping up 2% lower. I wonder about Tesla because they've been on a real ride and it just kind of feels like out of nowhere, wouldn't you say? The heck? Listen, this is what you're getting from your top tier economic publication, The Economist. Jews did not invent pastrami, so where did the salty sandwich filler come from? Okay. That's like what I would expect from NPR, you know? Oh, here we go. Bloomberg. Why do some nations have deadlier outbreaks than others, even when they are giving out the same vaccines? The world wants to know. Any thoughts on letting your son run a combine? Heck no. Did you see that whole thing where this guy had a gerbil set up that like he runs on the wheel and it selects which cryptocurrency to go buy, and then it runs through the tube and that says whether to buy it or sell it? Oh my gosh. It's just so ridiculous that it's somebody has to have good marketing that makes those things happen. Because if I did that, it would never. I've done similar. I'm probably not as elaborate as that, but I've done things and like nobody ever cares. But that one really got crazy amount of media attention. Does Tesla have their earnings coming up soon? Is that what's going on? Is they're trading into their earnings? Earnings date October 20th. So tomorrow. Yeah. So maybe that's why they're going up, is because people are expecting them to beat. After hours. Gotcha. Well, do you see that? They came back up there. So once again, the micros aren't giving us very good prices, but they kind of came back up there and didn't do anything. I saw it today as a short, but it's so overpriced. I don't have much account buy power for these games. Yeah. I'm kind of thinking here, like, hey, wouldn't be a bad idea to try and go long the treasury here. Well, with my own account, I don't think it makes sense, but with a sim, I'll try it here. I'll try it here. Yeah, I know options are too overpriced. Oh, for sure. Especially around earnings in Tesla. Even if you're right on the Tesla one, you get the gamma crush is just insane. Okay. As they say, know the product you're trading. Oh my gosh. Now you just reminded me of that stupid Mark Minervini thing. Oh, that's not what I want. News, sir. Like, I remember talking about it on the stream yesterday, and I was surprised that other people had seen it. And then I got on Reddit, and it was like the top post on Wall Street Bets. Like, man. I don't know. Maybe the treasuries are just gonna keep grinding lower. It sure looks like they gonna pressure them. Do see things steepening still. I'm really glad that I didn't try taking a trade in the micros there. So it did move, but it moved down. So you see there that it was like 1600, 1200, 1500. That is not the best action for us. That is like they could single-handedly take me out of a position if they wanted to, you know? Because you didn't taking very much volume to move it. I do see gold starting to come back down a little bit off of this. The dollar's rising a little bit. Well, 5 years maybe going to back off here. People expect only up. Isn't it funny how quickly we went from like, oh, like this is a really bearish season to buy all the things all the time? Why would you rather take a short time in a trade than a long time in a trade, but with more profit? When did I say that? That's really weird. Evernote complaining about it's not even up. Okay, we did get that this trade in the treasuries so far is actually I was a little bit surprised that they went and filled me as easily as they did, but now that it's up, I'm like, wow, this is working out better than I thought. This is working out perfect. Oh my gosh, Evernote, what is wrong with you? You definitely do have a problem. Quit Evernote. No, we're indent task to him. There we go. You're awfully focused on that Tesla today. So did you take it long? A little bit of an iceberg at 21.5. So that's not particularly helpful. He just laughs. It's the only thing that was bearish that I kind of was interested in. Okay. Well, ES really taking a break here, but it's doing a big old dome. So what I'm seeing here in the ES, it's like it's grinding higher, but I'm not seeing like a clear large meta order moving us or anything like that. We'll see if the 5-year backs off here in the treasury or not, because there was that iceberg at 21.5 and the 10-year kind of stopped the up movement. It's gonna make you wonder all day. Yeah, tomorrow's the day, I guess, when they do the earnings for Tesla. It's teasing me. Is Steve Bannon behind bars in the Capitol basement? Asks The Hill. Well, he should have been arrested and all of that, right? That'd be kind of weird. And down tick. The 20.5 bulls, yeah. Okay, that was a really aggressive uptick. The 5-year really dragged it up. Bitcoin now moving lower. Interesting. Will there be more iceberging at 21.5? Or will they just tick up? Well, there's 4,500 again. In ES. Bloomberg tweets a critical shortfall in copper is driving spot prices to near record levels. Oh, okay. Okay, so they did trade up through 21.5 with no iceberging. Not a super strong bid though. A little bit of volume holding back the 5-year there at 30. There you go. Yeah, it's still being tough. Well, looking at this, because when I was thinking about it in the treasury, I was thinking reversal, but look, they're still at 62. Like, the best decision that I've made today was only taking one live trade and cutting it short. That's looking a little better for me. Okay, finally. Finally. Okay, that was a good uptake in the 5-year. First quack tweets, Bitcoin drops sharply to session low of 61,350. Looks like I got all of my orders filled and I was able to bring my theoretical average break even to below the low of the day in the treasury, which I'm quite happy about. I wouldn't be surprised to see high of the session again at some point, but I think that what we'll do is we'll let it run for another 30 minutes and then close the sim trade out before we close for the day. But well, that makes up our losses for today, I guess. Did Jay take it? Oh yeah, Jay had a long and he's still in it. Good for you, Jay. Good boy. Good boy. It doesn't make up for the dismal day he had yesterday, though. You lost $600, Jay. What you gonna do? You gonna get 1,000? You gonna get a winner that's 1,000 today? That would really redeem yourself. Okay. That was a little interesting change, wasn't it? There was a little bit of a move there in the E-mini, and the treasuries fell a good 3 ticks. Everyone thinking to themselves, this is the start of the ETF top selling tweets PIQ. I have to wonder. I really think that in Bitcoin, the ETF is still positive news, and it can still lead to more investment in Bitcoin over the long run. I also think that Tether is still printing money. So as long as Tether is printing money, is there really any reason to go short Bitcoin? No. Let's see here. Analytic was asking me about Kalman filter. I'm just going to send it to him. I'm just going to give it to you. Because it wasn't that great. Well, I really got to wonder about the treasury here, huh? Well, they could still reverse, but why it dropped so hard? Was it just because the 6J dropped? Well, now it's moving back up again. You know, it's trading through these way too easily. This is great for a sim trade and everything, but this is really not good scalping action. Like when it moves on little volume and the market makers all pull like that, and then not only that, but it's just not really trending very much at all. That's just a recipe to get chopped up. Oh boy. I just heard over the squawk somebody in the UK. Oh, okay. UK supply chain crisis to last until at least 2023, business leaders warn, as reported by the Financial Times. 2023. Great. So you know what I think is funny about this supply chain crisis is that I'm starting to see people on Facebook fret about it. Mostly I'm seeing everybody saying, well, don't be so material, and then the supply chain issues aren't such a big deal, guys. Okay, but all the virtue signaling posts aside, there's nothing inherently wrong with that kind of post, but it's not the kind of post I would make. Why do we have a supply chain issue? Because you guys are buying more stuff. Stop buying so much. Stop buying so much, there won't be a supply chain issue. It's that simple. It seems to me, we all just stop buying things, and it'll be problem solved. It really has been since 7. So it's like 2 hours. Don't fret about a shortage of turkeys, just grow your own. It's probably a little bit late to try and start growing your own turkey, don't you think? I feel bad for the birds that we eat, because you see, like the chickens that we eat, that they've bred, it's sad. It's not natural what they've turned those into. U.S. Treasury's Adeyemo, I don't know who that is, defaulting on U.S. obligations would erode confidence in the U.S. economy and the dollar. Yeah, okay, thanks. Thanks, Captain Obvious. I'm sure that what he was saying was way more informational than that, and the news just turned it into a really crappy headline. What? Oh, that's an Onion article. Okay. The Onion Democrats attempt to woo Joe Manchin for reconciliation by tapping single Hershey's Kiss to latest draft. See, I fell for it. I thought, is that a real story? I don't know why I still feel this desire to get in a trade in the micro treasuries, and it's really like, why would I? It's a terrible environment right now. Is this what is it that, because I've often done this in slow action and screwed myself over. So what is it about this kind of action that really makes me think that something is going to happen? Why? Let's go deep into sense, because there's definitely been periods where like it was trending and would have been great trading, and I'm like, nah, it's not a good price. I don't want it. I should have just pushed into it, right? You heard analysis. I've never heard of that channel before. I know you're not into other people's analysis, but just curious. Well, the thing that I continue to find really frustrating is that I'm not really finding very many people to collaborate on what I would consider to be like serious analysis, you know? Like there's all these great research studies, and it's like we should be writing a thing and try and duplicate what they did and see if you can take it from there, that sort of a thing. But the reality is, you talk to most other people on social media about any of this stuff, and it's just, what? The market is more informationally efficient than it is statistically efficient? Why? What the heck does that mean? And I say that, and like nobody ever responds to it. They don't go, "Oh my gosh, Seth, that is such a great insight into the markets. I would really like to help you to continue investigating this and learn more about that." Never happens that way. Let's see here, Seth. If you don't mind, can you name a few of the tweet decks for day trading that you're following? Oh yeah. So I have a list. Where is it? Lists. So here are a list of prominent traders that I'm following. I probably should add more people to that, but I'm always open to suggestions on that one. And then this is a list of prominent news squawks and news sources that I follow. The second one. There you go. And those are the lists. So when I do TweetDeck, the way I have it set up is here's Squawks, and then here's my whole feed, and then here's the traders. I was thinking about responding to Future Trader 71 and saying, hey, come over to the treasuries and trade a 6-tick range, and then complain. Just, but yeah, TweetDeck is the best. If you don't have TweetDeck open, what are you even doing, guys? What are you even doing? A free resource gives you fast, instant information that can affect the markets and provide edge to you. And it's free. And majority of the trading world not realize it's a thing. CME active trader tweets not having features in your diversified portfolio, and then he has a bunch of red flags. Okay, CME. You're trying. I get it. And who is Bob Lacino? Well, he looks like a nice guy. He does videos for CME Active Trader, apparently. This has been like, I could probably just be trying to take the range like this, but come on. It's getting a little silly now, don't you think? Alligator says trending bund until Lane decides to stop the fund. So that could be part of, maybe the flows downwards coming from Europe. That could be. E-mini had a bit of a pullback, but they're heading towards highs again. No, didn't get the fill there. That was unfortunate. Why did it go up? Why did what go up? The ES? I don't know. Wow, probably just earnings. It sounds like Tesla is the where all the fun is at today. Yeah, ES. Yeah, I probably just earnings. So we're not getting any like serious macro news today. It's a light macro week. All right. Okay. Well, by the way, the 30-year is the one leading the way down on this down move, not the 5. So it's still steepening. It's going down, but it's steepening. I mean, I guess that's good, but so the flattening has kind of made me a little uneasy. Man, that did not take very much to trigger a bunch of buy orders there into 20. Although they did not clear it. They did not clear it, mind you. In fact, there's maybe a bit of an iceberg here at 20. Okay, they clear it. 5-year ticks up. The 30 come along. Maybe not. Well, we're running out of time here, so I'm going to put my other take profit up there, move it up. Of course, I'll let Jay just keep trading until the end of the session and see how he does. Theoretically, he should do okay at this kind of an action, so... When do they announce earnings exactly? So, yeah, something like 10 minutes after the close tomorrow in Tesla. After market, I don't know the exact timing. Now, the 30-year, he wants to go more. He wants to go more. Yeah, there we go. Okay, well, let's stop out. Let's stop out and lament about how we could have gone long the micros in the end. I mean, so when I look at the volume and everything, you kind of have to sit there and be like, well, no. Let me rephrase that. When you look at the chart, you have to be like, well, how could you not want to be selling that? But when you realize it was like only a 4-tick range this whole time, and look at the volume, like there's nothing there. There's nothing there. So only taking one live trade on that was the right call. And it wasn't even, I mean, we caught it like right here. So it wasn't even like a terrible trade. But clearly there was a little bit more opportunity on the short side, a little bit more opportunity on the short side than we realized. Was it really enough to take a trade? I'll take another day. I think I will just run and take it another day. Don't confuse a bull market with brains, says Alan Schwartz Guggenheim, being right just barely on CNBC. You know, I don't follow everybody that's on CNBC, but of the ones that I follow, Carl Quintil is the best. So I puked into that, but look, they're going to come back up. So if I was willing to wait through this like the rest of the day, I maybe would have held that and just scratched it or something, but. My nerves would melt watching ZN for 1 hour. So would have to see a doctor after that traumatic experience. And it's quite look at me. I'm relaxed. It's the thing that razzles me up is taking the trade in the ES like 4 times and it not working. Ugh. I'm gonna try and let this ride. I think that there could be some crazy into the close today. So even though it's a sim trade, I'll just leave it and close it after the market closes. Well, what should we put in today? Meatgrinder. Oh, we should say Bitcoin ETF launches. Markets turn into Meatgrinder. 19th. There we go. That's what we're going to call for today. So, well, guys, I wish that I had, there's a good number of people watching today, by the way. I thank you very, very, very much. Make sure you give the video a like. And tomorrow is Wednesday. We got Tesla reporting after the markets close. And then I think, let's see here real quick. Tomorrow, there's Beige Book tomorrow, right? But Wednesday tends to be a situation where you see a lot of capital deployed. So I'm hoping that tomorrow will be better than today. Just because it's Wednesday, but we'll see. Oh, there you go. He's taking going for it. Now I got 100. Well, I don't think that completely wipes out the losses that I made in the ES from trying to trade that, because that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attempts before I caught one that ran. So it wasn't very good, was it? Maybe by the end of the day it might wipe out the losses, but pretty shitty trading from me today. But I realized pretty early on and only took 1 on the live account and didn't even take a full loss on that one. So hopefully tomorrow is better. In the meantime, stay profitable.